Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And today's Instagram Live is the actual 28th, even though I said last week's was the 28th. But this one is back on the Sunday again. And we only got 7 questions in today, but on the episode that is out tomorrow, or if you're listening as a podcast out now, it's the first time I did a recording with 2 guests. And on tonight's Instagram Live, it's going to be the first time I've dialed someone else in because we're going to have Dan Foreman come in at the end to talk about the Melbourne Home Show and what's going on there. So it's a good night to do it because I only got a few questions. So we'll get through them. But if anyone's got any questions in the meantime, feel free to chuck them in down the bottom and I'll answer them as they go along. So the first question is from Steve Nyland, and he said, "You've said you have rules and ways you like your crazy paving done. What are they?" So there's a few different things that I think I was taught all of them, and that's why they are my rules because I carried them on. So I don't know whether my guys will do the same if they were doing their own. But the first one is not having 4 corners meet. I don't even like 3 meeting. So it's just, all of these are just little things that don't make a difference to most people, but I can't stand them when I see crazy paving done. So I don't like having 4 corners meet. And the second one is not having big long lines. So you don't want to see. So it's supposed to be crazy paving, so there should be like a mosaic. So you don't want to have, a 2 meter long line going all the way through where you just sort of been matching them up how they go. So you want to have, if you've got a line that's starting to get a bit long, you want to put a paver across that at the end of it so it breaks that line. It's a bit hard to explain verbally, but and then the third one is if you put a paver down and it cracks, you can't lay it where it was. So that can be a bit heartbreaking if you've got a big paver and it's broken because you walk on it before it's been laid. Because if you do it like that, the join's perfect, and none of the other ones are perfect. So it's just something, and it's also you can tell because of the stone always looks a little bit different. Like each stone looks slightly different, so there's variations in the color, so you can tell. So yeah, they're the 3 main rules I've got, which, once you hear them, you'll see most people couldn't care less about them. But that's just something that I can't stop removing from our crazy paving. James Zala said, "Any exciting projects coming up? What would you like to build that you haven't yet?" There's nothing I could think of that I'd like to build that I haven't yet, but there are exciting projects coming up. Yeah, we've got one coming up, which I'm pretty excited about because it's one that I designed a while ago, and it's just got a lot of pretty cool elements in there. So it's a concrete barbecue bench and a bench as well. And yeah, there's like a pretty nice pool, some pretty cool paving around it. So there's just heaps of things. I've got some floating steps out the front, just heaps of things I love doing, and it's all in this project. So yeah, and that's an annoying thing about being put out so long in advance is that, like when we do the design, it takes ages for that to come around. But yeah, she's getting pretty close. Like we're putting in the engineering and the building permit at the moment for it, so it's not too far away from getting started. But in terms of building stuff that I'd like to, there's nothing really that I could think of, because if there was, I would build that into our designs. Although I wouldn't mind doing some more crazy paving steps, but you've got to have the right project for it and the client wanting to pay for that amount of work that goes into it to do it properly. But yeah, so that's probably something I have done, but I'd like to do more of. I've also got a massive project with like over $500,000 coming up as well. So hopefully there's a bit of profit coming out of that one. I've got another question coming in saying, "What concrete mix did you use for that 5-letter mailbox?" So I did a hand mix for it because none of the partly because it was really small and didn't need a lot of concrete, and I was only doing it a couple of pours. But the concrete suppliers who do the mini mixes don't have the type of sand, like they don't have whitewash sand, which I like to use for it because I think it's a bit of a creamier mix. So I got my own sand and screenings and cement and mixed it myself, and it was trying to think, it was 3 parts screenings. No, maybe it was, can't remember now. I think it was 3-part screenings, 1.5 sand, and 1 cement. So I had a bucket where I was tipping it all in. So I think that was the ratio that I did. Does sound a bit weak. I'm pretty sure that was it. Can't remember, but it's one of those muscle memory things I would know if I was doing it. But that's pretty sure that's what it was. And yeah, I love the color. So, and I've got some steps to do. So that's the tricky part: is what do I get a mini mix for the steps, because it's going to be a lot more concrete, or do I just hand mix it myself? And the stone was the screening, so that was 7mm screenings for that. And Dan Scrapes said, "Is it annoying when people don't appreciate your work and just see you as a sex symbol?" Well, that's a good question for Dan when he comes on. So that's all I hear about from him when he's complaining about things. It's just people don't appreciate his work and see him as a sex symbol because of his weird skateboard thing that he uses. Breaking Ground Landscapes said, when starting your company with a trade background, how did you learn the business side? That is a great question, because that's the most challenging part of starting in business. If you're coming into it from being a landscaper or a tradesperson, or even just a designer, it doesn't matter what you're doing, because most places don't teach you how to run a business. So a lot of it is learned from experience, which you don't have when you start. So it's just what you got to learn from your mistakes. And that's how I did it. I did learn a little bit from my boss beforehand. So he taught me how he did the quotes. So it actually did quite a lot, showing me how he did things, and gave me templates to use as well. So if you are working for someone and you're thinking about going out on your own, it's not a bad idea to ask them for some advice. Like, even if you can if you want to donate your time, just as a thank you to your employer for helping you out, because what they teach you will probably save you money. That's not a bad way to go about it. And it's also it's good to learn how someone does things, and you might want to do it the same way, or you might want to do it a different way. But it's good just to see different way people do different things, or the same thing. So, because not everyone runs their business the same, and though you might get the same result, there's different paths to take to get there. And then once you are in business as well, you can reach out to as many people to get their advice on how they do things. For the same reason, like they'll obviously help you out if you reach out to them, I assume, but you can also see the way they do things and compare that to what you're currently doing, and see you might want to change little bits of things, or you don't like the way someone else does it, so you don't change anything, or you might want to change everything. So you're better off to ask the question and find out as much information as you can, so then you can run your business as successful as possible. Tom Lynch said, how much do you pay WorkCover for your employees roughly? So that's also a topical question, because that's just gone up a ridiculous amount. So previously I was paying, I think it was about 7,000, and now I've got to pay 12,000. And the wages, like the number of employees, hasn't changed. So I was talking to a bloke who's applied for the apprenticeship just recently that we've got going at the moment, and I was telling him how, like he was asking, because he was a mature age, if he could get signed off earlier, or if he could finish, how he could go about finishing the apprenticeship sooner. And I said, like, once you finish school, and if the skills are there, I'll pay what they would earn if they were qualified. But there's no benefit out of signing someone off early, because once you're not an apprentice, then you count towards the remuneration amount that they work out for WorkCover. So if you're paying someone $100,000 as an apprentice, none of that counts towards WorkCover. But if they're qualified or not an apprentice, then the full amount qualifies towards WorkCover. So I'm happy to pay them if they're worth more, but there's no benefit to signing it off early. And everyone has to pay WorkCover, so everyone's in the same boat. But it's just annoying, because it's not one of those things like you spend a lot of money and get nothing out of it. But yeah, that's life. And it's got a question from Ava saying, what's your favorite plant? So that's my daughter. She's jumped on and chucked in a question. So it is a frangipani. It always has been, and probably always will be. Because I don't know if it's because like it has got a great form, great flower, great scent. There's a lot of benefits about it, but also because it grows in weather where I would also like to grow. It's a lot better up north around Noosa. There's plenty of them going up around there. And in a crazy coincidence, Earth Garden Work Noosa just joined in at the same time I said Noosa. It's pretty wild. So they would certainly know about frangipanis and probably not appreciate them as much as I do because they would grow more up there. And I've spoken to Kev Qualsh from Innovations Design. He was saying how much he likes Acacia Lime Magic. And that's, it's a good looking tree, but it's no one raves about it too much. But again, it's that rarity value of it because they can't grow it too far north into New South Wales because I think it gets too humid for it. So it's one of those grasses greener on the other side things that, but in saying that, people who have frangipanis around them also like them as well because they're a pretty awesome plant. And the last question is from Mitch Saul Landscapes, and he said, "What machines equipment are essential for a successful business?" That is also a great question. I don't think that there are any that are essential for it, but they certainly make it easier to run a business and to be able to do it for longevity. In terms of the equipment, you need all the basics, like a shovel, wheelbarrow, that kind of all those basic hand tools. But in terms of machines, if I was going to buy one, like the first two that I think of are an excavator and a mini skid steer. So like a Vermeer type or Dingo or Kanga, those type of machines. And if I had to pick one, even though we use a Vermeer a lot more often, if I was going to buy one, it would probably be an excavator because they're a hell of a lot cheaper than the Vermeer and they can do a lot more than them as well. So you can still get auger attachments and you can still load trucks up with them, load wheelbarrows with them, but you can dig with them as well. So you can do footings, and so they don't move as fast as a Vermeer. But I reckon if I was going to buy one, it would be an excavator, and just like a 1.7 ton or 1.5 ton, somewhere around that. That's small enough to get into the places you need to get to, but also got enough grunt that it can actually dig footings for you and hopefully dig the occasional tree stump out as well. Well, that was the last question. So now I'm going to see if we can get Dan to come in. And it's only going to be on. Don't know how it's going to go because I think it's only going to be. I've got the two phones going and I've only got it on one. And I think I've done both on install, but there, how you going? Excellent. Hopefully people in the other one can hear the audio, but this is just no, but I think I don't know if you've seen it, but did I set up the landscaping podcast one as well, or have I logged in both phones to install gardens? Never. No, it doesn't matter. It's too late now anyway.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I've just before. Yes.
So, Thank you.
No, thank you for coming on. Thank you for providing a bit of variety to the Instagram Live Sunday night viewing.
Yeah, it's better when I'm not just pasting here on the comments. It's probably easier if it's, if I actually take some of the backlash as well.
No, that's excellent. So, I was going to ask you how annoying it is when people don't appreciate your work and just see you as a sex symbol.
That was yourself. How you then? I said, but he's hoping.
So when is the what's it called? Is it the Melbourne Home?
Yeah, so the Melbourne Home Show is in August 25th to the 27th. So it goes from Friday all the way through to the Sunday. And basically, the plan is we do a big landscape feature through one of the main aisles, and then we have a heap of guests that come on, chat with the guests. We've got some ripper names. I know you told me, as a joke, I think, that you're going to come on as a Skype, but I'm still holding you to that. I'm the construction panel. So, no, we've got some great guests coming on. A lot of the guests obviously have been on your podcast.
Because I've had everyone on.
Yeah, quality guests.
So last year it was a massive garden that you built up the centre. Is it going to be as big this year?
Yeah, it is. It's huge, and I mean, it's tricky because it's got to be done in 3 days, which is ridiculous. So I've got a couple of my contractors that going to help me with it. So this is it here. So I don't know if you can see that. Basically, you got a bird's eye view down bottom, then you got a sectional through the middle, and then some perspectives up the top. So we just try and keep it sort of very general. It's got the biggest problem we had last year was we didn't open the garden to public. I was really scared about public liability and all the rest of it. But we did it for Sydney, and it was really, really good. So this time we're going to have it so, you know, general public can walk all over it, enjoy it, use the space a bit better, which I think is going to work out a lot better this year, which is good. So
yeah, that's going to get people spending a lot more time there as well, because they're not just walking past; they're actually going to walk in and actually sort of take notice of everything as well. So that's probably a better thing for the suppliers who are supporting it too.
Yeah. So I think the response from last year was really good. So we've got a really big section this year, and I think the Melbourne Home Show is really pushing at the landscape side of things, which is really great. And I think having people in the space that actually sort of have the vision of having these spaces in their backyards, front yards, outdoor projects, whatever, I think is a real win. So I'm really excited. Like I said, some ripper guests for the timetable. So the timetable goes all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And the Friday usually is the suppliers. So the suppliers that help me with the feature, we give them a slot on the Friday. And then the Saturday, Sunday, it's just landscapers, horticulturalists, designers, all the good stuff. So it's exciting.
So who are some of the suppliers and some of the designers and horticulturalists coming on?
So suppliers, we've got Lewdale Turf, we've got Granite Works, Jordo, we've got Speciality Trees, got some amazing stuff there. We've got Tim from Tread Sculptures, who did it last year. He's got the rustic looking sculptures. We've got Sarah from Oz Flora Pacific, does proteas and leucadendrons, which look amazing this time of year. Daisy's Garden Supplies, which is one of my main sponsors, are obviously always back me, which is wicked. And then there's a few other small ones that we've sort of weaved in and out throughout the place, but they're the main ones this year. So, and Shapescaper, sorry, I shouldn't not say them. They're one of my big suppliers. Obviously, we can't plant anything, so it's all a lot of planters, a lot of raised stuff. So we use their product flat out, which is great. So they're the main sponsors. The home show has a few of their own that they sort of weave in and out, but they're the main sponsors that help me put it together, which is pretty wicked. So yeah.
So are you talking to the home show ones as well?
Yeah. So there's one that does an outdoor kitchen. Another one, like they've got like these really funky bean bags, like armchair bean bags. They're going to sit out throughout the whole display. Just things like that. Veggie Pod, I think, are in as well. Just sort of fillers and and all that sort of stuff. It does help to fill out because it's a huge space. So I'll be relying on Ludo a lot for some square meters of grass, that's for sure. Slam that down, get some squares down. So yeah.
And who are some of the designers and landscape people on there?
Yeah, so we've got the madman himself, Christian Jenkins, is coming in down your way. We've got Dan Alpus is coming in, Paul Pritchard's coming in. We've got Emmeline Bowman's coming in. We've got a construction and design panel. So I think I've convinced Mark Browning, Matt Budling, and Riley Cooper to come in and do a little design thing for us.
You mean Matt York?
And then Matty York, yep, the Grand Old Duke, yep. So he loves all this sort of stuff, and I love chatting to Matty because he's phenomenal when it comes to his landscape architecture is just something else. I chatted to him last year and it just blew me away. It was like the very last sitting on the Sunday, so not everyone had gone, and I was just like blown away by some of the stuff he was talking about, different like plates in the ground and how he knows like all this different weather stuff. And I was like, damn, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, I haven't actually had him on, but he's probably a good person I should get on the podcast.
Yeah, oh mate, he's unreal. So yeah, so there's some really and there's some other ones. So we've got a couple of people coming in, a couple of landscapers that did the block this year are coming on. So young man by the name of Ryan who does East End landscapes. He does a lot of work for 916 builders. So he's coming on. We've got Matt Harvey from Harvey Landscapes. He's done the last 2 blocks. He's coming on. Yeah, it's a really good mix of. I wanted to get some more females on because I really like them, but unfortunately we had a heap pull out, so it's a bit of a sausage fest at the minute. But yeah, it would have been great to have more because there's some amazing female horticulturists and designers and landscapers. So hopefully I can get more of them next year. But yeah, it's a really good lineup, and I was really happy with the lineup last year, and it was really hard not to just do that lineup again, but we've got to have a bit of variety. So yeah, so it's a bit of a mix. So yeah.
And when is it? Is that the end of August?
So it's 25th of August, about a month away, a little less than 3-4 weeks away. So yeah, and it's the show's free. So you just got to register online, and it's a free show. So yeah, I highly recommend people come down. You know, there's plenty to get out of it. If you're just looking for DIY stuff, if you're looking for a landscaper or a designer, yeah, we're just going to cover everything. We're going to go broad. So
and I think if they mention the landscaping podcast, they get 50% off as well.
Mate, absolutely. 50% off site consultation. Is that right?
Oh, we don't do them, so yeah, they get 100% off.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. I don't know how to get rid of this. Yeah. Unless you got anything else you wanted to share.
No, for any of those who are not Melbourne-based, we've got Brisbane coming up a week and a half after Melbourne, and then Sydney is in October. So yeah, if you're not Melbourne-based, we've got the other shows happening too. So yeah, we've done some design work for them, which is good. That's this one here. I don't know if you can see that. That's not going very good here. This one's Brisbane. So we've got a dirty big Queensland bottle as a feature. And then, yeah, just a nice little formal area and some bits and pieces. And then Sydney, I'm still working on because I'm a bit slack. But yeah, Sydney's in the pipelines at the minute because I've got a little bit more time for that. So yeah, I highly recommend guys get amongst it. It's actually really cool. So
what was the reason behind you doing these hope shows? Like, are you hoping to build your brand, or are you getting benefits out of it?
Very good question, Joel. I think Melbourne's very beneficial for me because I get to it's just a really good opportunity for me. It's not even, I know this is going to sound weird, it's not even really for me, I don't feel. It's more for the industry and people who, like yourself, who had presence at Midfest and stuff like that, just to keep riding the wave a bit, get a little bit more out of it, keep relevant, you know what I mean? So we've just got so many good landscapers, landscape designers, and everything in this industry, and so many people are so knowledgeable with what they've got to give to the general public. And I think a lot of people are willing to do that. There's just not really a platform for that. So it's more or less just giving people a platform, giving the general public some ideas, some tips and tricks, some DIY stuff, explain the process that we recommend when you're going through these projects and things like that, a little bit of structure. And you know, it's kind of hard at the minute because obviously there's a lot happening with, you know, the finances and all that sort of stuff. So just if we can just give the people something to help them, or if someone needs a bit of guidance, then at least it's something they can use as a platform and sort of go from there. Me personally, I do enjoy it. It's different. It's fake landscaping, and I thought it'd be way easier than it is. There's a hell of a lot of organising in it, but yeah, a bit of fake landscaping is a bit of fun too. So yeah, it's, you know, a bit of camaraderie and whatnot, and you know, I get paid to do it. It's not crazy money, like I'm not doing it for the money, but I do get paid to do it, and yeah, and you know, it's another outlet, another avenue. It's always nice to try things. Variety is the spice of life, so that's why I do it. And yeah, we just keep going till the wheels fall off, basically. So yeah.
Sounds familiar. Thank you very much for coming on, Dan. Yeah, this has been good.
Once again, thanks for having me, great mate.
No worries. I'll have to get you on for another episode one day soon as well. See if we can...
You know me, I love a chat.
See if we can beat the record for the longest episode.
Listen, love it, mate.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Thanks so much for the time.
No worries.
See you, bud.
Yeah. Hopefully you can leave because I don't know how to get rid of you. There he's gone. All right. We've got one more. I'm just going to check. We got one more. Yeah, we had a comment from actually James saying I think we've been dropped. I thought he was talking about the feed because it was on one screen, not the other. But yeah, he didn't mention myself or Ash as some of the guests, and I'm pretty sure we are talking there. But we did have a question come in from Forest Gardens Adelaide saying, "G'day Joel, I'm a gardener of 15 years, but really keen to change my business to more design. What programs do you design with, and what do you suggest?" I did see a message, so I'll reply to that in more detail after this. But I would start out. You're probably best off trying a few different programs so you can work out which one works best for you, which is a hard thing to do. But I think that most of them do a bit of a trial. Like SketchUp has got a trial, and also talk to people who use those programs. So I use Landworks CAD. So that's one you could try. But if I was going to recommend only one, it would be Vectorworks, because that seems to be easier to get your hands on being able to do everything within it and also converting it to 3D. But it depends on what you want to do. But I think you did want to do 3D. But so I would say Vectorworks. Our landscape architect, she does things on Vectorworks, and then she does stuff with Photoshop to make it look prettier as well. So she's pretty well trained in it all. So she's very experienced. So that's something that you've also got to be aware that's going to take you time to build up your experience before you can actually start doing some pretty impressive looking stuff. But if you've been a gardener for 15 years, just think back to what you were like when you started compared to what you're like now, and just know that eventually you will get better. It just takes time and persistence. But yeah, Vectorworks is what I would recommend, but I don't know how to use it myself. So yeah, probably not the best person to be recommending programs, but that's what I would do. And Dan has said Ashley James is on the design panel. I don't know if he's got any qualifications in design, so it's a bit controversial. But anyway, that was the end of all the questions. So thank you very much again for everyone who put one in, and also thank you to Dan Foreman for coming on to share his information about the Melbourne Home Show, and he does the Brisbane Home Show and the Sydney Home Show as well. So anyone who's from those areas can not only pop down and check out what he does at the home show, but if you want to get involved, it's a good, like if you've thought of getting involved in a garden show, that's probably the construction of the home show is probably a great first step to do that sort of thing. So you can see what it's like to build, like he said, one of the fake gardens. And then you can also, if you wanted to get a bit of airtime as well, you can speak at one of those home shows and experience what that's like. So I definitely recommend getting involved. So get in touch with Dan Scrapes if you wanted to do that. And so I didn't mention it at the start, but this week's episode is with Fifth Seasons Landscape. So they got two directors. I had them both on at the same time, so I didn't know how that was going to go, and I was scared of it. But it's an awesome episode. One I can't wait to listen back to again. I was just editing it today and loved it. So because I recorded it about a month ago. But yeah, they're running just an awesome business by the sound of it, and you can also tell that they're two awesome people, I reckon, to work for. So that obviously comes through in the work they produce, because they produce some phenomenal work. So yeah, really looking forward to that episode too, because I like listening back to them as well. So that's out at the moment, and we'll check some questions up during the week, and we'll see you next week.